Welcome to another Murder Mindset video. This video is the fifth in our serial killer series, and we will be looking at serial killer couples. We will be heading to the United Kingdom for this episode, and looking at two of the most infamous cases in recent history. If you like our videos, why not hit the like button? And if you would like to keep up to date on all our new videos, consider subscribing to the channel. But for now, thanks for watching, and let's get into it. Fred and Rose West are notorious names in the history of criminality, both known for their heinous acts of sexual abuse, torture, and murder. The couple's crimes shocked the world and left a lasting impact on the communities they lived in. In the first part of this video, we will delve into the lives of Fred and Rose West, their crimes, and the impact they had on society. Fred and Rose West were born in Gloucestershire, England, in the 1940s. Fred was the eldest of 6 siblings, and Rose was the fifth of 7 children. Fred was known for being a troubled child and had a history of criminal behavior from a young age. Rose, on the other hand, was a shy and introverted child who struggled with her self-esteem. The couple met in 1969 when Fred was already married with 2 children. Despite this, he pursued Rose, and the two eventually began a romantic relationship. Fred and Rose married in 1972 and went on to have several children together. The couple's crimes began in the early 1970s and continued until their eventual arrest in 1994. They were known for their acts of sexual abuse, torture, and murder, with many of their victims being young girls and women. The couple would lure their victims to their home under the guise of offering them work or a place to stay. Once there, the victims would be subjected to horrific abuse and eventually murdered. The couple's crimes were uncovered in 1994 when police were investigating the disappearance of the couple's 16-year-old daughter, Heather. Upon searching the couple's property, police discovered the remains of several young women. Charmaine West, born the 22nd of February 1963, killed in June 1971 by Rosemary while Fred was in prison. No motive was ever put forward. Catherine Bernadette, Rena West, born the 14th of April 1944, killed August 1971. Rena had called to take Charmaine away with her, and it is believed Fred killed her to avoid an investigation into Charmaine's whereabouts. Linda Goff, born the 1st of May 1953, killed April 1973. A lodger at 25 Cromwell Street, Goff and Rosemary would share lovers. Following her disappearance, Goff's mother called to visit, and Rosemary, wearing Goff's clothes, told her Linda had moved in order to work in Weston-super-Mare. Carol Ann Cooper, born the 10th of April 1958, killed November 1973. Cooper was living in a children's home in Worcester when she disappeared while walking home from the cinema. Lucy Catherine Partington, born the 4th of March 1952, killed December 1973. Spent Christmas with her family in Cheltenham and visited a friend, and disappeared after leaving to catch a bus home. There is strong evidence that she had been kept alive for at least several days. A week after she disappeared, Fred went to a hospital in the early hours of the 3rd of January 1974 to get a serious laceration stitched. A knife matching the cut was found with Partington's body, and police surmise he sustained the injury while dismembering the body. Partington, a university student, was the cousin of novelist Martin Amis. Teresa Siegenthaler, born the 27th of November 1952, killed in April 1974, a student in South London who left to hitchhike to Ireland and disappeared. Shirley Hubbard, born the 26th of June 1959, killed November 1974. Left a work experience course in Droitwich to return home but did not arrive. When her remains were found, her head was completely covered in tape with only a 3-inch rubber tube inserted to allow her to breathe. Juanita Marion Mott, born the 1st of March 1957, killed April 1975. A former lodger at 25 Cromwell Street, Mott was living with a friend of her mother's in Newent when she disappeared. Shirley Ann Robinson, born the 8th of October 1959, killed May 1978. A lodger at 25 Cromwell Street, Robinson was a prostitute for the Wests, disappeared after becoming pregnant with Fred's child. Allison Chambers, born the 8th of September 1962, killed August 1979. Chambers was their last known sexually motivated killing. Heather Ann West, born the 17th of October 1970, killed June 1987. Heather became the focus of Fred's attentions after his daughter Anne-Marie left home. Fred West claimed he had not meant to kill her, but she had been sneering at him, and he had to take the smirk off her face. Rosemary told an inquiring neighbor the following day that she and Heather had had a hell of a row, so it is believed Rosemary may have initiated her death. The Wests told their children Heather had left for a job in Devon, but later changed the story to her having run off with a lesbian lover when she failed to contact or visit them. Later still, Fred would threaten the children that they would end up under the patio like Heather if they misbehaved. Heather's body was found under the patio that Fred had inexplicably built over the fish pond his son Stephen had dug. The couple was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder and sexual abuse. During their trial, the couple was found guilty of a total of 10 murders, including those of their own children. Fred was found guilty of 11 counts of rape and Rose of 10 counts of murder. In 1995, Fred West committed suicide while awaiting trial for another murder charge, leaving Rose as the sole person convicted for the crimes. The impact of Fred and Rose West's crimes on society cannot be understated. The brutality and depravity of their actions shook the country and raised questions about the safety of young women in the UK. The couple's crimes also led to changes in the way missing persons cases were investigated and the treatment of victims of sexual abuse. Fred and Rose West were two of the most notorious criminals in UK history. Their crimes of sexual abuse, torture, and murder shocked the world and left a lasting impact on society. The Moors murderers are a notorious British serial killer couple who committed some of the most heinous crimes in the country's history. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were responsible for the deaths of 5 children and teenagers in the 1960s, leaving a lasting impact on the families of the victims and the wider public. In the second part of this video, we take a look at Brady and Hindley and the crimes they committed. Ian Brady was born in Glasgow, Scotland, in 1938, and Myra Hindley was born in Manchester, England, in 1942. The couple met in 1961 when Brady was working in a warehouse and Hindley was a typist. The two shared a fascination with Nazi Germany and the idea of committing the perfect murder. Between 1963 and 1965, Brady and Hindley committed a series of murders of children and teenagers, which became known as the Moors murders due to the burial of some of the victims on Saddleworth Moor in Greater Manchester. The couple lured their victims, aged between 10 and 17, into their car under the pretext of offering them a lift, then took them to a secluded area where they were sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered. The couple recorded the screams of their victims, and some of these recordings were played during their trial. On the 12th of July 1963, Brady told Hindley that he wanted to commit the perfect murder. After work, he instructed her to drive a borrowed van around while he followed on his motorcycle. When he spotted a likely victim, he would flash his headlight. Driving down Gorton Lane, Brady saw a young girl and signaled Hindley, who did not stop because she recognized the girl as an 8-year-old neighbor of her mother. Sometime after 7:30 p.m. on Froxmore Street, Brady signaled Hindley to stop for 16-year-old Pauline Reed, a schoolmate of Hindley's sister Maureen on her way to a dance. Hindley offered Reed a lift. At various times, Hindley gave conflicting statements about the extent to which she, versus Brady, was responsible for Reed being selected as their first victim, but said she felt that there would be less attention given to the disappearance of a teenager than of an 8-year-old. Once Reed was in the van, Hindley asked her to help in searching Saddleworth Moor for an expensive lost glove. Reed agreed, and they drove there. When Brady arrived on his motorcycle, Hindley told Reed he would be helping in the search. Hindley later claimed that she waited in the van while Brady took Reed onto the moor. Brady returned alone after about 30 minutes, and took Hindley to the spot where Reed lay dying. Reed's clothes were in disarray, and she had been nearly decapitated by 2 cuts to the throat, including a 4-inch incision across her voice box, inflicted with considerable force, and into which the collar of her coat and a throat chain had been pushed. When Hindley asked Brady whether he had raped Reed, Brady replied, "Of course I did." Hindley stayed with Reed while Brady retrieved a spade he had hidden nearby on a previous visit, then returned to the van while Brady buried Reed. In Brady's account, Hindley was not only present for the attack, but participated in the sexual assault. In the early evening of the 23rd of November 1963, at a market in Ashton-under-Lyne, Brady and Hindley offered 12-year-old John Kilbride a lift home, saying his parents might worry that he was out so late. They also promised him a bottle of sherry. Once Kilbride was inside Hindley's hired Ford Anglia car, Brady said they would have to make a detour to their home for the sherry. En route, he suggested another detour, this time to search for a glove Hindley had lost on the moor. When they reached the moor, Brady took Kilbride with him while Hindley waited in the car. Brady sexually assaulted Kilbride and tried to slit his throat with a 6-inch serrated blade before strangling him with a shoelace or string. Brady and Hindley visited a fun fair in Ancoats on the 26th of December 1964 and noticed that 10-year-old Leslie Ann Downey was apparently alone. They approached her and deliberately dropped some shopping they were carrying, then asked her for help in taking the packages to their car and then to Wardlebrook Avenue. At the house, Downey was undressed, gagged, and forcibly posed for photographs before being raped and killed, perhaps strangled with a piece of string. Hindley later maintained that she went to fill a bath for Downey and found her dead when she returned. Brady claimed that Hindley killed Downey. The following morning, Brady and Hindley drove Downey's body to Saddleworth Moor and buried her naked with her clothes at her feet in a shallow grave. On the evening of the 6th of October 1965, Hindley drove Brady to Manchester Central Railway Station, where she waited outside in the car whilst he selected a victim. After a few minutes, Brady reappeared in the company of 17-year-old Edward Evans, an apprentice engineer who lived in Ardwick, to whom he introduced Hindley as his sister. Brady later claimed that he had picked up Evans for a sexual encounter. They drove to Brady and Hindley's home at Wardlebrook Avenue, where they relaxed over a bottle of wine. At some point, Brady sent Hindley to fetch Smith, her brother-in-law. Throughout the previous year, Brady had been cultivating a friendship with Smith, who had become in awe of Brady, something that increasingly worried Hindley as she felt it compromised their safety. Hindley returned with Smith and told him to wait outside for her signal, a flashing light. When the signal came, Smith knocked on the door and was met by Brady, who asked if he had come for the miniature wine bottles and left him in the kitchen saying that he was going to collect the wine. Smith later told the police, "I waited about a minute or two, then suddenly I heard a hell of a scream. It sounded like a woman, really high-pitched. Then the screams carried on, one after another really loud. Then I heard Myra shout, 'Dave, help him!' very loud. When I ran in, I just stood inside the living room, and I saw a young lad. He was lying with his head and shoulders on the couch, and his legs were on the floor. He was facing upwards. Ian was standing over him, facing him, with his legs on either side of the young lad's legs. The lad was still screaming. Ian had a hatchet in his hand. He was holding it above his head, and he hit the lad on the left side of his head with the hatchet. I heard the blow. It was a terrible hard blow. It sounded horrible." Smith then watched Brady throttle Evans with a length of electrical cord. Brady sprained his ankle in the struggle, and Evans's body was too heavy for Smith to carry to the car on his own, so they wrapped it in plastic sheeting and put it in the spare bedroom. Later, David Smith went to the police after witnessing the couple murdering Evans. Brady was arrested and subsequently confessed to the murders of Evans and 2 other victims. On the 6th of May 1966, after having deliberated for a little over 2 hours, a jury found Brady guilty of all 3 murders, and Hindley guilty of the murders of Downey and Evans. As the death penalty for murder had been abolished while Brady and Hindley were held on remand, the judge passed the only sentence that the law allowed: life imprisonment. Brady was sentenced to 3 concurrent life sentences, and Hindley was given 2, plus a concurrent 7-year term for harboring Brady in the knowledge that he had murdered Kilbride. Brady was taken to HM Prison Durham, and Hindley was sent to HM Prison Holloway. The Moors murders had a profound impact on society, especially in the way child safety was perceived. The murders were seen as a wake-up call, and many parents became more vigilant in protecting their children from potential dangers. The trial of Brady and Hindley was also highly publicized and led to a change in the way the British media reported on criminal cases. Please like and subscribe for more Murder Mindset videos. Our twice-weekly videos aim to give you a quick and concise insight into the world's most prolific killers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.